Picture this. Cold morning. Memphis. You're a mail carrier just doing your route. Same streets. Same routine. Nothing unusual. Until you hear it. A soft, mechanical click. Right behind your head. You don't turn around. You don't move. And then a voice says, "Keys." Not your wallet. Not your phone. Just the keys. And in that moment, you realize this isn't a robbery. It's something else. This is Marshun Lewis, 25 years old. Memphis, Tennessee. And at first, his story looks simple. A few robberies. A masked man. Street crime. But the deeper you go, the less it makes sense. Because this wasn't about money. It was about access. And it didn't stop with him. Memphis is a city with history, music, culture, soul, and also violence that people who live there have learned to navigate every day. In 2023, something specific started happening. Mail carriers were getting robbed. At gunpoint, but not for what you'd expect. No one was taking packages. No one was digging through mail. Every time it was the same demand, the keys. There's a key mail carriers carry. It opens those blue mailboxes you see on street corners. The ones people drop checks into, payments, bills, money orders. Normal life, sealed in envelopes. And if someone has that key, they don't just have access to mail. They have access to money that hasn't reached its destination yet. Which is a very different kind of power. August 2023. First robbery. Masked man. Gun. Keys taken. And then he disappears. No arrest. No clear suspect. Just a shaken postal worker. And a report. And then nothing. For over a year. Which almost feels worse. Because it means whoever did this wasn't in a rush. They were waiting. November 2024. It starts again. A woman is inside an apartment complex, Cedar Mills. She's sorting mail. Focused. Routine. And then click. She said later she felt the gun before she fully understood it was there. Keys. She hands them over. He's gone. Just like that. Less than 2 weeks later, it happens again. Another carrier. Another gun. Another set of keys. Now it's clear. This isn't random. This is a system. Investigators start pulling surveillance. And one detail keeps showing up. A blue Nissan Maxima. Same car. Different locations. They track it. It leads to an address. And that address leads to a name, Marshun Lewis. A tip comes in too. Someone recognizes him, not from the robberies, but from online. They tell police he's been around this kind of thing before. Stolen mail. Fraud. This wasn't new. December 9th, 2024. Police execute a search warrant, his apartment. Inside, everything starts to line up. Stolen mail. A handgun case. Clothes that match surveillance. And then a keychain. With one of the stolen keys. He kept it. Because that was the whole point. The robberies were just step one. After that, he'd go to those blue mailboxes. Open them. Take the mail. Specifically, checks, money orders. Things people thought were already on their way somewhere safe. Then he'd change them. Names, amounts, destinations, and deposit them into accounts. It's called check washing. But this was organized. Because you can't do that alone. And that's where it shifts. Because one of those accounts belonged to his mother, Lakita Carroll. At some point, this wasn't something she didn't know about. She was part of it. Depositing stolen checks. Moving money. Helping it work. And that's the part that stays with you. Not the robberies. Not even the gun. But the idea that this wasn't happening in the dark. It was happening at home. Federal charges come in. Serious ones. Robbery of a postal worker. Firearm charges. Bank fraud. Conspiracy. The trial, everything comes out. Footage. The car. The keys. And his phone. That's what really ties it together. Because while he was careful in person, masked, controlled, on his phone he wasn't. Messages. Coordination. Names. Everything. All that effort to hide his face. And he leaves the story sitting in his pocket. For days. That's all it took. The jury comes back. Guilty on everything. April 15th, 2026. Courtroom. He's 25 years old. sitting there, waiting to hear how the rest of his life is going to look. The sentence, 42 years. Just sit with that. He'll be an old man when he gets out, if he gets out. His mother, 3.5 years. Separate sentence. Same story. There's something else. This wasn't his first time. Back in 2019, he was accused of robbing people in a Walmart parking lot. Setups through Facebook Marketplace. People showing up to buy something and getting robbed instead. And you can't help but think, what happened between then and this? Because something escalated. A lot. And yeah, he made those choices. Real choices. Real victims. People who went to work and had guns pointed at them. People who mailed checks that never arrived. But there's also this question that just sits there, quietly. What if something had stopped this earlier? Would it matter? Would it change anything? And then you remember, the person helping him later on was sitting at the same dinner table years before. The cycle wasn't abstract. It was right there. A gun click in a hallway. A set of keys. A plan that took years to build and 42 years to pay for. That's the case of Marshun Lewis. And somewhere in Memphis, mail carriers are still walking those same routes, still carrying those same keys, probably just a little more aware of who might be behind them. If you've got thoughts on this one, especially that family angle, I want to hear them. And if this is your kind of story, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.